Hi friends, good morning to one and all. Today we are discussing about the optics. Optics is the branch of science or physics which deals with the studies and its applications of light. We all understand the world around us by using our five sensory organs: eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skins. Around the five sensory organs, the sense associated with our eye is the vision. Vision is completed by using the agent light. Light from a source is interact with some object, and after reflection from that object it reaches our eyes, and our eyes will convert these light rays into electrical signals and passes to our brain, and after processing these electrical signals in brain, the brain will convert the electrical signal to image, and our vision is completed. The light has an important role in our vision, and the theory and application or studies of light is coming under the section of optics in physics. So let us go through the sections of optics by as an introduction. Now, in history, uh, in ancient world, the source of light was sunlight, and human beings are can view the object by using the sunlight. We all are familiar with the seven colors in sunlight that we are briefly said as Vibgyor: and violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, and these seven colors will form white light. Or the white light is a composite light, and the components of this white light are seven different colors and is named as Vibgyor. So basically, Greek people are the first one who studies about light. And in BC 300, the famous physicist in Greek called Euclid proposed that the light rays will travel in a straight line, or the rectilinear propagation of light is explained by Euclid. Euclid. Going further, the famous physicist we have Galileo Galilei have used a telescope to observe rings of Saturn by using a telescope that in AD 1607. So 1609-ലാണ് ഗലീലിയോ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ഒരു ടെലസ്കോപ്പ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ട് ഒരു ഔട്ടർ സ്പേസിൽ സാറ്റേണിന്റെ റിങ്സ് ഒബ്സർവ് ചെയ്തത്. ഒബ്സർവ് the rings of Saturn. And before that, the Arabs and Greeks are aware of the properties of light, reflection and refraction, even refraction itself. That means Euclid in BC 300 stated that the light rays will choose as a shortest path, or that is the straight line distance between 2 points. And also he suggested that the light reflected from a mirror surface will obeys the laws of reflection. That is, the incident angle will be equal to the reflection angle. Also, they were aware of that the property of refraction. That means we have the UNESCO in 2015 has declared that 2015 is the International Year of Light, because the 2015 was the 1000th anniversary of a book called Book of Optics, which is authored by Ibn al-Haytham, a famous Arab scientist or physicist. He was the first one who suggested the properties of lenses and usage of the lenses for improving the eyesight. It is explained in detail in his book, that Book of Optics, and the UN or UNESCO honored the famous physicist uh, Ibn al-Haytham by suggesting that the 1000th anniversary of that books will can be celebrated as the International Year of Light. 1621 Snell's proposed the law of refraction. That is, we are studying that Snell's law of refraction, and Kepler uh, suggested the total internal reflection, and all other phenomena. But the main thing in this phenomena is that these all phenomena are rectilinear propagation, reflection, and also the reflection law is proposed by Euclid. Reflection, refraction, total internal reflection. These all phenomena are explained by the particle nature of light. Yeah? But all these phenomena can be explained by using wave nature or particle nature of light. So in ancient years, the peoples were aware of that light is some sort of particles. In 1658, Pierre de Fermat also explained the laws of rectilinear propagation and law of reflection and law of refraction in the famous Fermat's principle, the Fermat's principle of least time, and Fermat's principle, law of reflection and refraction by using the Fermat's principle, and something like that. Going further, the first theory of light is suggested by the famous scientist Sir Isaac Newton. That law is called the corpuscular theory of light. Corpuscular theory of light. The corpuscular theory of light or explains that Newton explained by using this corpuscular theory that every luminous body is consisting of some particles called corpuscles. Corpuscles. Or every luminous body emits in all direction some stream of tiny particle, these extremely minute particles as corpuscles. So any luminous body or any source of light consisting of the production of very small tiny particles, and these tiny particles are named as corpuscle. So the law of reflection and refraction and also the rectilinear propagation of light can be explained in form of or in the basis of this corpuscular theory. So that means let us consider these corpuscles are some particles of or very minute particles, and these are some spherical particles or something like a small balls. Then if we are uh, projecting or these balls from some point to some surface, so any kind of surface as it is, this ball will interact with or incident with that surface and will definitely reflect back. This ball will definitely reflect back. So in such a manner, the light rays will Newton explains that the light rays will incident in some surface and reflect back. It is something like we are throwing a balls to a wall, and that ball will reflect from that surface itself. So it is very easy way of explanation of reflection by using the properties or the theory of Newton corpuscular theory of light. Also, by using this corpuscular theory, Newton can explain the formation of shadow. Formation of shadow. That means these light rays are some particles called corpuscles. Then, if an opaque object or opaque object is coming introduced in the path of these corpuscles or straight line path of the light, this corpuscle will directly interact or incident on that opaque object, and it cannot pass that corpuscles further. So the space behind that uh, object will formed by a shadow. Such a way, Newton successfully explained the formation of shadow by using his corpuscular theory. But the main disadvantage of this corpuscular theory was, if a particle of any tiny mass is moving in very high velocity, that Newton's suggested that this corpuscle will move very high velocity, but he also suggested that this high velocity is a finite one. So corpuscle will move with finite velocity and this velocity is very high, and if that a particle is moving with very high velocity, then it will continuously loses its energy and it coming to a rest, because there will be a lot of things that interact with that moving particle and loses its energy. Then for some time this particle will coming to a rest. But actually, light rays are not coming to a rest position. It travels from one point to another always, and the velocity is very high itself. So, Newton's corpuscular theory cannot explain the loss of energy of that particle or loss of mass of that particle, and how these light rays will travels a very long distance without any energy loss. And he fails to explain the wave nature of light, or wave the some properties of light which is explained by wave nature of light, that is interference and diffraction. In 1678, Sir Christian Huygens, Sir Christian Huygens explained the wave nature of light, or it explains that light is not a particle, it is some form of wave. So the main disadvantage of Newton's corpuscular theory was, it cannot explain one, the loss of energy by this massive particle, tiny massive particle, and also diffractions and Newton's rings cannot be explained by using that theory. So the Christian Huygens wave theory, wave optics or wave theory of light, can successfully explain the rectilinear propagation, reflection, refraction, and total internal reflection, as well as the interference and diffractions of light. In 1803, Thomas Young experimentally observed light interference property of light by using his famous double slit experiment, and this interference and diffraction is successfully explained by wave theory of light. According to the wave theory, the light will propagate as a wave in all directions from any source. Any source of light will produce a light wave. Any source of light will produce a light wave, and this wave will propagate in all directions from the source. Then the locus of all points having the same phase is termed as wavefront. Wavefront. Uh, each point of any wavefront can be act as the source of secondary wavelets. So a point source will produce a spherical wavefront, and a line source will produce a cylindrical wavefront. A cylindrical wavefront. A cylindrical wavefront. Then a plane source of light will always produce a plane wavefront, but actually these spherical wavefront and cylindrical wavefront can be converted to a plane wavefront at far away distance. So if a source is very much distance away from our point of observation, then the cylindrical or spherical wavefront will also act as a plane wavefront. At infinite distance, these two spherical sources or point sources or line sources will act as a source of plane wavefront, and also experimentally the spherical and cylindrical wavefront can be converted to a plane wavefront by putting its source at the focal point of a convex lens. The light coming from that convex lens will be in plane format, plane wavefront. At infinite distance, as I mentioned earlier, spherical wavefront and cylindrical wavefront will be plane wavefront. The point that we are stick on this plane wavefront is that the explanation of the properties of light by using this plane wavefront is very much simpler. Then each and every point on a wavefront is act as a secondary source of secondary disturbance or secondary wavelet, and the locus of all points in the secondary wavefronts will form the shape or nature of secondary wavelet. Then the secondary wavefront will have the same properties of the primary wavefront itself. Then the amplitude of secondary wavefront is maximum in forward direction and minimum or zero in the backward direction. So if the wave will propagate in forward direction itself, and there will not be any propagation in the backward direction of a wavefront, and not the source but the wavefront. The wavefront will propagate in all direction of the source, but for a wavefront the propagation of light will be always in forward direction, and the amplitude will be maximum in forward direction and minimum in the backward direction. The normal which is drawn to the wavefront in the direction of the advancement of wavefront is the ray of light. Now the normal plane of ray is the wavefront, and the strength of the wavefront gradually reduces in the direction of the ray itself.